Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Wisconsin Weather Experts, exclusively on Fox Local. We thank you for joining us. It's Tuesday, January 28th. I am joined by my colleague, Lisa Michaels. We are in the weather office, and we have a lot of fun stuff going on our show today. We're, of course, going to talk about Wisconsin's weather on this very windy but also mild day. We're going to talk a bit about ice, a bit about a new sport that I have never heard of, and eyes to the skies.
Yes, we have a lot going on, and more involved with that, we have planets. I know a lot of people are liking to go out at night. We've had arrays of northern lights this past year, but now we have a really cool planet event going on. So a lot to talk about this week. Of course, the winds have been stealing the show, and statewide, you know, people have been taking advantage of the weekends to travel. The weather has been huge in that aspect, especially since we haven't seen a lot of snow, so it's making travel easier across the state.
And when you think back to last week, it was so bitterly cold. I mean, this time last week, we were dealing with those wind chills that were in the 20s and 30s below zero. So yesterday and today have been a far cry from that. And not just in southeast Wisconsin, we're talking across the entire state. So let's dive into your statewide forecast. Now, right now, we've got temperatures in the 30s and 40s across the state of Wisconsin. You can see we're in the upper 30s in Milwaukee, but out west, Madison to La Crosse, already seeing 40s. Yesterday, a handful of communities reached into the 40s as well. So today is going to be another mild day. Again, 44 currently in La Crosse, 41 towards Madison, a little cooler up north. Rhinelander around freezing, Wausau 35. Look at Marquette, Michigan, though. Much different, where it's cloudy and snow is falling. Temperatures are only in the teens. So we do have a weak disturbance, not really impacting us too much across the state of Wisconsin, aside from, say, the Green Bay area, Wausau up to Rhinelander. A few flurries off and on so far this morning, and could see a few more this afternoon. The rest of us, though, central and southern parts of the state, we're just going to be dealing with a little bit of cloud cover throughout the day today, with still peaks of sunshine and, of course, very windy and warm conditions. There is a secondary front as well as low pressure up towards the north that could also bring in, number one, some slightly cooler temperatures tomorrow into your Wednesday, and a slight chance for a few flurries in spots. But otherwise, you know, we statewide have a fairly quiet forecast, which has been the trend over the past couple of months, most of our winter. Look at the wind speeds here as we go forward on this Tuesday. The entire state will have the chance to see sustained wind speeds up to 20, maybe even 30 miles per hour, especially down towards the south, and lakeshore communities under a wind advisory, which we'll get to a little bit later on. Precip-wise, there is still just that slight chance across far northern parts of our state for a few flurries through the night tonight, the rest of us looking dry. And then there's that secondary system, very weak disturbance that could bring in a few flurries, more so to southwestern Wisconsin late in the day Wednesday. The rest of us should see a mix of clouds and sunshine, but temperatures are going to be a little bit cooler than today. Now, skipping ahead to Thursday, quiet, still a bit blustery. Southwest wind is going to bring in temperatures down south near 50, which is pretty incredible. And then Friday looks to be a different chance for precipitation. Right now, it looks like maybe a little bit of rain and snow mix from this system down south, pushing its way up towards the northeast. So especially the southern half of Wisconsin going to be dealing with potentially a little bit of rain snow mix to end the work week. Let's go through day planners for the remainder of your Tuesday, starting in Milwaukee. This is our windy icon. The wind really is going to continue to steal the show, but temperatures will reach into the middle 40s. So this is a southwest strong wind pulling in warm temperatures to the area. Out to Madison, similar numbers, but likely a few degrees warmer. Also windy, mix of clouds and sunshine. And even throughout the evening, we'll likely still have a few clouds in the area. Up to Green Bay, little cooler, but still likely going to reach into the 40s later this afternoon. Again, wind all across the state. Over to Wausau, may not crack the 40-degree mark, but temperatures will likely still be in the middle and upper 30s. I mean, most spots right now are already in the 30s, so we have been warming very quickly already on this Tuesday. Out to La Crosse, potentially upper 40s for high temperatures. So out west, it wasn't as cool this morning. It kick-started the warmth, so likely going to be warmer. And even the farther west you go, portions of Minnesota, I should say, out towards Minneapolis, temperatures are already well into the 40s. Eau Claire, a similar forecast. highs in the low 40s, a strong west-southwesterly wind, a little bit of cloud cover from time to time, but overall a pretty quiet day. Up to Rhinelander, one of the spots that will still have the chance for some light snow going forward. Far northern Wisconsin will have that better chance as this weak disturbance makes its way on through. Also more cloud cover, and that will keep temperatures down a little bit. At this hour, at your lunch hour, temps are in the low 30s, so likely climbing to about mid-30s for high temperatures. So again, a little cooler across some of the far northern portions of the state of Wisconsin for today, and then tomorrow will all be a little bit cooler. Now, one exciting tidbit that we can start talking about is the fact that our sunsets and across the state are beginning to push beyond 5 p.m. Here's a look across the area. Now, Milwaukee tomorrow, our sunset is actually at 5. Our sunrise right around 7:10. But look at some of these other cities. Madison, your sunset tonight is 5:05. La Crosse, 5:10. Eau Claire, close to that. Same with Wausau, just after 5 o'clock. Green Bay and Rhinelander getting close. It's going to be in the next couple of days. You'll notice, though, it's going to take some more time for our sunrises to be before 7 o'clock. So we do still have some time. Now, after 5 p.m. sunsets for Milwaukee, again, that is coming up. Also, Green Bay, early February. Rhinelander, the same as those of us in Milwaukee. Again, your sunrises, more so the first and second week of February that we will finally see those being before 7 a.m. So we are getting there, absolutely. But it's just exciting to be able to, number one, talk about some warmer temperatures today, and number two, finally start to gain a little bit more in the way of daylight. And we'll continue to see more and more as the weeks go on. Now, we have, again, coming up on our Wisconsin Weather Experts, plenty more in the way of ice sports, eyes to the skies, as Lisa and I just mentioned. So we'll take a quick break and we'll see you in just a few minutes. Hi there, everyone. Welcome back to your Wisconsin Weather Experts. It is so windy outside. Yeah. It's what we've been laughing about during the commercial break.
Yeah, Kim, one of our anchors, Kim Murphy, said she wore a hat yesterday, blew off her head.
Yep.
Nicola in the morning has been talking about needing the scrunchie for ladies to pull their hair back.
Yep.
And it's one of those days you could feel like a supermodel or you could feel like a hot mess.
Every time we're out on the weather deck on a windy day, you just embrace it and you say you're just being Beyonce for the day. It's fine.
Exactly. And a lot of times you might see us eat our hair. No, we're not hungry. It's just the wind blowing it in our face.
It's the most awkward thing, isn't it?
It really is. But it's going to be one of those days. You know, we had it yesterday. We had it today as well. The winds were really strong. Some of our wind gusts yesterday were recorded at 49 miles an hour for a wind gust in Kenosha as well as Sheboygan. 1 mile per hour less in Milwaukee at 48 miles an hour recorded for a gust, and 44 recorded for a gust in Waukesha. Now, yesterday we did have a wind advisory issued as long as those winds were gusting 45 miles an hour or stronger at any time. That puts us in a wind advisory criteria. Now, we were not issued this yesterday, but this was brought to us for this morning. We're really starting at 1 o'clock this afternoon until 6 o'clock tonight. We are talking about another wind advisory for all of our lakeshore areas, as well as counties such as Washington, Waukesha, and Walworth slightly inland. Gusts again could be 45 to 50 miles an hour today, and that easily can move around unsecured objects outside when we start to get winds that strong, even in thunderstorms sometimes. We have things such as small tree limbs that can break and even isolated power outages. What we're watching right now locally is wind gusts that are pushing into the 20 to 30 mile per hour range, close to 40 miles an hour in Milwaukee as well as Juneau. But it's not just us here locally that have the strong winds. Well, we're expected to have these stronger winds with us through the day today and even starting to very gradually subside tonight. The stronger winds are impacting us statewide. Let's take a look at those wind gusts. Again, 38 miles an hour here locally in Milwaukee, but we have a 39 mile per hour wind gusts in Duluth, 31 in Eau Claire, 36 in La Crosse. So really tracking the 20 to 30 mile per hour gusts everywhere. And in some spots that will be increasing as we head through the day today. So fast forwarding through the afternoon, notice Green Bay could even have gusts near 40 miles an hour later on today, but those winds will start to die down into the 20 to 30 mile per hour range tonight. As that area of low pressure moves away from us, our pressure gradient weakens, which Tom's going to talk about coming up. And then we start to see our winds weaken even more as we head into Wednesday. So early Wednesday, we still could wake up with some gusts statewide, 15 to 25 miles an hour. But notice statewide as we head into Wednesday night, those winds continue to become even lighter, with more areas stretching out from La Crosse to Eau Claire and even Wausau, where those winds could just be gusting near 10 miles an hour. That, of course, is going to be good to have weaker winds that then limits our wind chill. But the big question is, why are our winds so strong, especially for the first couple days of this week? Tom Walks is going to explain that for us coming up.
Well, sometimes we'll see graphics like this. Look at all the color here. The winds can sometimes gust to near 50 miles per hour, if not more than that. The map here showing tropical storm force wind gusts in many areas. But wait, how can this happen? Number one, an absence of a tropical storm. And number two, how do we get all these winds in such a broad area? Sometimes we'll get strong winds coming out of thunderstorms, right, in the summertime. But this is broad, right? This isn't just one area that's getting strong winds. This is area wide. Well, let's talk about how this happens. So this is what we call gradient winds or pressure gradient winds. This is happening on a broad scale. So unlike thunderstorms, for example, which would be a very small scale, or a tropical storm, which would still be somewhat of a broader scale, but still a small scale, this is a much larger scale, what we call synoptic scale in meteorology. So let's dive into this a little bit. We have high pressure in this case down to the south, and low pressure up to the northeast. Now, the way to look at this map is in Texas, pretend like you're at the top of a hill and you're looking down towards the area of low pressure. Now, another way to kind of conceptualize air pressure is high pressure, there's more air pushing down on you. Low pressure, there's not as much air pushing down on you. Kind of like when you go into an airplane, right? And they pressurize the cabin because as you go up, the air pressure gets lower. So they've got to pressurize the cabin to make sure that, you know, as humans, we're used to a certain air pressure, right? So you can kind of conceptualize it a bit that way. Well, how does air pressure relate to winds? Well, a change in that air pressure is what causes wind on the broad scale. So when you get stuck in between an area of high pressure and low pressure, the stronger that pressure system is, the stronger the gradient or the change, the pressure gradient as it's known in meteorology is. Now, as you look at these black lines, this is what we use in meteorology. If you're a pilot, if you have pilot friends, they've seen these maps before with isobars on them. What does that mean? Isobars are lines of equal barometric pressure. So the closer the lines are together, the windier it is. So again, a change in air pressure is what causes wind. Now, high pressure, you have clockwise clockwise wind flow flowing around it. Low pressure, you have counterclockwise winds flowing around it. So in this case, our wind is coming more out of the westerly direction because of the placement of these various air masses and pressure systems. So you can tell a lot just by looking at this one map. Number one, the lines are very close together, so it's windy, but then you can also tell the direction of the wind based upon the various pressure systems as well. So that, in turn, is what causes wind. Again, it's a change in air pressure, but let me go back to the beginning. Let me go back to this other graphic that we looked at a moment ago. Unlike thunderstorms, where again, that's a totally different process on a small scale, when you get strong winds on a broad scale like this, so strong winds for everyone, often it doesn't have to do with thunderstorms. It has to do with the pressure setup across the country, what we call synoptic or broad scale meteorology. So pretty interesting there. Again, every system is different, but when we watch for strong winds, area-wide, we're often watching for that big pressure difference.
Oh, that's so fascinating.
Yeah, it really is. And the cool thing about it is we've had several of these lows moving in, bringing us not just one day of strong winds, but this is the second day in a row for a wind advisory. So we're just lucking out this week, but we have talked about the winds bringing warmer air into place. So really statewide, we're having something that feels, I think, more like spring rather than January.
And again, especially compared to last week when we had, our real bitter cold and those very dangerous wind chills. I know it is still winter. There's a lot of winter sports still happening, but every now and then it is nice to break out and to thaw a little bit.
And we talked a little bit about the winds maybe benefiting some types of winter sports, right?
Yeah, this is something new. Let's take a few images from out in New Jersey. So this is actually video from Barnegat Bay, New Jersey. And if you look very closely, you can tell that the bay is covered in ice, and they are taking part in some ice sailing. Now, I admitted on FOX 6 News at 11 a.m., before this, had never heard of ice sailing.
I've never heard of this either.
So, now the caption with this from some of our colleagues from out in New Jersey is that there's only another day or so of, ripe conditions for ice sailing, because New Jersey and the East Coast, they're about to get the warmth that we have right now. The system's going to move east.
Ice is going to start getting thinner and melting out there.
Right, exactly. So, just for my own sake, I did a little digging on ice sailing. We're from Illinois, so I don't know how I've never heard about it. I'm sure you guys have. I know it used to be a big deal on Geneva Lake, but this weekend now, there could potentially be a regatta on Lake Winnebago, and you did a little bit more research on this.
Yeah, we were talking about this, Steph and I, in the office, because we've never heard of it. I think it captivated us to learn more.
I have to try it.
Yeah, and this is really one of their shots that Andy had on the website. We talked about that even some of this sailing here can occur, and Lake Winnebago, this is February 1st through 2nd. So this upcoming weekend, they're expected to have their competition near Fond du Lac there. So the big question is, with our warming temperatures this week, can they still be out there on the ice, and is it thick enough to support the weight of that? So on their website, they did say by Thursday at 1 o'clock, I believe, in the afternoon, they're going to give an official report if they're going to be out there this weekend. But tentatively, they're going to be out there with their sails blowing on ice. I mean, I can't even imagine what that's like. And then getting it out there.
Right. Okay, and so you saw the picture of the boats. Basically, it's just, it looks kind of like a sailboat, but there are little skates on each side of them. It is 100% powered by the wind. I was reading through an article that said speeds can top 40 miles per hour at times. And I know there's a proper way of steering and all of that fun stuff. I'm actually really hoping that if this regatta takes place this weekend on Lake Winnebago, we can kind of circle back next week to really dive into it more. And viewers, if this is something that you have taken part in, maybe this is one of the winter sports that you enjoy doing. I know the snowshoeing, I know the ice fishing, which we'll talk a lot about in tomorrow's episode too, by the way. If this is something that you've taken part in from time to time over the years, please reach out to us on social media and let us know. I am very fascinated by all of this.
Yeah, me too. I'm wondering, how do they train? Because here locally, we haven't had the coldest winters recently. So the time to do ice recreational activities is very slim. So do you think maybe they go on an ice rink and bring it on there and train with fans?
That would make the most sense to me.
Something. Or maybe they're sailors in the summer and it makes it that much easier skill-wise in the winter. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm curious for people to reach out to us and let us know.
I would really be intrigued by it. So that's a little fun stuff happening out in New Jersey today, but again, only for a few more days because temperatures are going to climb. Let's take another really cool view. Speaking of ice, these are pictures from the Frozen Falls.
Oh, wow.
Franklin Falls is their proper name, out in Washington, from our friends at Fox Weather, providing some of these images for us. Just incredible.
And I almost think pictures never do nature justice,
I
right?
agree.
So as beautiful as this is, and I do think a lot of people go hiking in the winter months as well when the weather's not so bad. The one thing to keep in mind is traction in those spots still could be very slick. So having, they have those, I don't know what you call them, they're like grips on the bottom of your boots you can put, like cleats almost.
Oh, right, exactly.
A lot of people will be out there wearing those, but it really is spectacular because some of the warmer temperatures have already started melting snow, melting ice, and I don't know how much longer areas, at least here locally, will be having that. Of course, Washington, other side of the country,
right.
So maybe they'll have that a little bit longer than
this
us.
Does remind me, too, my very first job in TV was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And the falls, you know, the staple falls, would freeze over in the winter. I'll have to try and
find some photos
because that's what it reminds me of. And I know there are falls out in Minnesota too that you know, take on that appearance. One spot in Wisconsin that I would love to visit that I have not yet, the Apostle Islands.
Me too.
Whenever I see something frozen, it always, you know, reminds me of the Apostle Islands up north too.
Up north in the state, there's a lot more waterfalls too. So I'm sure people are taking pictures and heading out hiking, and the weather's great for it, even if maybe we're not getting a lot of snow and you want to enjoy nature and it. You can still go to some of the snow resorts where you can ski, you can tube. We're just getting our little bit of view of nature here locally in-house.
Yes, there you go. All right, well, we have a little bit more to talk about on this episode of Wisconsin Weather Experts. For now, though, we will take a quick break.
Well, welcome back to the Wisconsin Weather Experts. Stephanie Barakello and myself have been talking all about the winds this week, the warmth. We talked about a new event that we did not know about, a winter recreational event, sailing on ice. And what we've had a lot of this past week is clear nights.
Yes.
And the clear nights actually are going to be perfect for viewing of the planets. We are going to have great conditions tonight to view the parade of planets, as it's called. Now, according to NASA, that's not the technological term for it. It is a planetary alignment. But here's what you need to know, because you still can view it as we head through the upcoming days. Right after sunset, about an hour or so afterwards, look up in the south to southwestern portion of the sky. You will be able to see Saturn and Venus first, then heading more towards the east, Mars and Jupiter are going to appear. So 4 planets that are going to be visible and bright. Then there's going to be 2 more planets, which you can't see with the naked eye. You will need a telescope, but Uranus and Neptune are also going to be in the sky. So far, that puts 6 planets that can be visible if you're going to be heading out at night. The one thing that we are going to mention, though, is on January 25th, there was another planet making the group visible, and it was Mercury, making it 7 planets in the sky. Really, again, you just can only see about 5 of them then. But what we're continuing to track with this is clear skies at night, and not only is this going to be visible through the end of January, but also through early February. Really, what is this? Well, the parade of planets, again, this is a representation here. We are going to have planets that are moving around the sun at different speeds. They move on a plane called an elliptic plane, and when the planets happen to line up on one side of the sun, the Earth can view all those planets, which make it look like they're in a line. Now, realistically, they're not evenly in a linear line like that, but they are at least all going to be in one sort of side, so we can view it as we move into the evening hours. One of the things that we're also going to be talking about, of course, and Steph talked about this a little bit, is the sunset timings. Sunset's going to be very important because take a look. If you want to view them tonight, sunset is at 4:59. We go to 5 o'clock on Wednesday, 5:02 Thursday, and 5:03 Friday. So finally seeing that sunset a few minutes later. Again, you want to look outside about an hour after sunset, and you can really start to see those planets out there. So, Steph, you know, I told you I tried seeing it the other day, and it was spectacular. I mean, they were very vividly bright in the sky. You could tell.
With the naked eye, too. Not even a telescope. So that's awesome.
So if you go out there, I don't have the best, you know, nighttime photography skills. I know some of our viewers do.
Yes.
Go out and see it. It's not necessarily a rare event, but it is considered a rarer event just because of the fact that we will have at least 4 planets, possibly 5, that you can see all at once. It'll be bright with the naked eye. So,
and you mentioned this is not an every year thing.
It is not every year where we see this many planets being that bright. So kind of a cool event. I know we can't get out and enjoy the sun or enjoy the snow and the sun making snowmen or anything, but this is just an event you can get out with the family and the kiddos, and you know, I'm sure they like staying up late a little bit, right? And see some sort of cool event in the sky.
All right, well, there you go, and clear skies are expected throughout the night tonight. All right, that's another episode of Wisconsin Weather Experts. Have a great day, everyone.